Okay, we're recording, which means we're live and we're running. Welcome to Activate Thursday. I believe this is full disclosure, guys. We are pre-recording this, and I believe this will be published on the 11th of May. Anyways, thanks for joining us this evening. My name is Jesse Allen, Senior Vice President of Product Marketing here at LifeVantage, and with me tonight, Dr. Jess. Can I say that? I didn't realize until just this week I saw that you were signing off on some of your Facebook posts with Dr. Jess. Have you always done that?
Yes.
You have.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Dr. Jessica Buhler, Doctor of Chiropractic. And some of you that are watching tonight, you've already met Dr. Jess on this. She's been here before. Actually, have you been on an Activate Thursday, or did we do a podcast?
Podcast.
We did a podcast. Well, then we're all like being blessed tonight because we actually get to see you this time rather than just hear you. Yeah, so Jess sent me a message this morning. She's like, are we recording this like podcast or is this video? My response was, you have to do your hair.
Yes. And you'll often find me when I'm not at work in my normal attire, which would probably include yoga pants and flip-flops. So yes, you're welcome.
That's funny. Well, let's do this. Let's talk a little bit just quickly about you, who you are, your background, because some people that are watching tonight don't know you and don't know your background and why, well, if I just back up a little bit, it's May and May is Women's Healthcare Month. So we're talking all about women's healthcare, how to make it a priority, why it needs to be a priority, maybe why it's not a priority. And hopefully by the time we're done, we'll have some good advice and some good things that, and just a better understanding of what's happening with women's health in general. And maybe we can wrap up with some good advice, but maybe just to set the stage a little bit of why you specifically are here with us today, and your background will help set that stage a little bit. Let's do that. Let's jump into you just a little bit. I already mentioned Doctor of Chiropractic. Am I saying that correctly? Is that the correct way to say it?
It is, yes.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about your history and how you got into chiropractic care, and then maybe how that parlayed into your being part of LifeVantage.
Yes. So I don't have a chiropractic superstar story, although I can share a lot of those from having been a chiropractor. What interested me the most about chiropractic was that I wanted to have a big family. And so, I did well in school and was very intrigued with human anatomy and physiology. So I went to undergrad for biology, and then you get close to the end and they're like, what are you going to do with this? And so ended up with chiropractic as the strategy, I guess, and have since fallen in love with everything that is chiropractic and natural healthcare, and in seeking to find answers for people. So that led me to an allergy elimination technique called NAET when my oldest daughter was struggling with eczema. Led me down a rabbit hole of searching for answers and not getting a lot of anywhere. And then eventually led me to acupuncture. And I was introduced to LifeVantage 3 days before I went to take my national acupuncture board. So that was also an interesting thing, because I did not respond very well to the introduction to what I thought would be another baggie on my desk that I threw away at the end of the week. And if any of you actually know me, you know that I like to have fun. And so a big part of life in general to me is that it has to be fun. And so LifeVantage came to me, and I didn't look at it right away, but I had prayed a prayer that I thought was unanswered before that, when one of my good friends had a scary diagnosis. and I was put in charge of her nutrition. And so I was familiar with the NRF2 and NRF1 pathway. In fact, at the time of her death, she was taking 9 of the 10 components of our 2 primary activators, which is what we had at that time, what LifeVantage had at that time. But I didn't find these products, but the prayer was for a more powerful tool, for something that would create a miracle, that would give the body back some of what it was designed to function like on a cellular level. And that prayer for something more powerful came too late for my friend, but it also motivates me to share this with others, because there's someone that that is looking for something more powerful, that is praying that prayer. And I have since gotten to see so many, the science obviously is what drew me to LifeVantage, the research, not just science, but research, and the fact that it wasn't all funded by the company. But there's a whole lot of other things that have kept me around. So that was more than you asked for.
No, that's perfect. That helps. I appreciate it. I didn't know the acupuncture part. I knew the rest of that story, but I don't know, maybe I just missed it in previous conversations. Well, anyway, one thing that maybe everybody should know about Dr. Jess, she's a bit of a research junkie. So she it's a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of information. And I think that's in part because just simply how much content you consume and how much you study. And my impression is you don't really necessarily take everything at face value, but you're going to figure it out yourself, and you're going to dive into the information, and you're going to study and figure it out. And I think that's just a wonderful attribute and characteristic. And we don't need to go retell the whole story, but I think that was very much part of your introduction to LifeVantage and discovering what LifeVantage has to offer and how it could have had a bigger impact on your friend that you mentioned just a minute ago. Let's thank you for that and for that introduction and sharing a little bit about you. Let's maybe jump into the topic a little bit. It's Women's Healthcare Month. Which I think is wonderful. I think so. This is the goal behind the month from the organization that actually promotes this initiative. Their goal is to empower women in such a way that they can make health a priority, which I think is fantastic. Secondary to that is that they equip women with the knowledge to help other women on their journey to improve their health. Why is it that women, or that health is such an issue? And maybe we can share some of the facts. I found a few online this morning, and you pulled up your book just a minute ago, and some of the statistics behind women's health, or frankly you could say the lack thereof, are staggering and a bit depressing. Why is that? Why has it become such a challenge today for women to make health a priority?
Well, I think women are born with a gift or a desire to nurture and to take care of others. And not saying that men are not as well, but I just think inherently that women have this desire to do this. It's a part of who they are. And so in caring for others, there can be mindset blocks and in general of what that looks like. And in serving others, they tend to not prioritize themselves, or not make that a part of who they are either. Even I've heard to the extremes of women feeling it is selfish to take care of themselves. And so I just think sometimes it takes a little shift and a little realization. And I think sometimes the statistics really point that out, or just really let it settle in that these are the people that are caretaking and they're not taking care of themselves. It seems like a little non-congruent maybe, right?
Mhm.
And so I kind of think also just having that reminder, and a lot of times with the women that I work with, I like to remind women that you can't just take care of everyone else. You also have to be an example to everyone else, because
Yeah.
just like your children are not going to do what you tell them to do, they're going to do what they see you do. It is the same way with the people around you. And if you can inspire and empower someone to do what it is that you're doing, or mentor a little bit with someone that wants to move to that next level, I really just think that making yourself a priority is not just like a luxury. It's a necessity that women need to start doing at even younger ages than where they currently are. And I also feel like, our world has just become more toxic, more instant. We're rushing everywhere. I mean, we have a need to get here and get there and do this and add to the list and add to the list. And in that time, we often take for granted to just really enjoy the times where where we just are, where
Yeah.
we are still, and we're intentional with living life with a purpose, and on purpose, and with a passion for that too.
You mentioned the word purpose, and like we'll come back to that in a minute. I've been listening to and reading Dr. Mark Hyman's most recent book. I'm sure you're familiar with Dr. Hyman, but
Mhm.
he talks a lot about that, in addition to how we eat and exercise and sleep and stress reduction and all of those things. But one of the parts that he kind of has zeroed in on as far as his overall health is really two aspects that aren't always associated with health. One is community, and a healthy and vibrant community and the people around us, and the second is purpose and having a purpose to our lives. As you were talking a minute ago about just women's inherent part of their nature is this a nurturing attribute, or taking care of and providing for others. As you were talking, I was thinking about my mother-in-law, and I'm sure many can relate to this. She had 5 daughters who all have families of them of their own, and so when we gather, it's not all that often, but every once in a while we'll gather as a family for maybe around a holiday or something, and there's just it feels like 100 people around. There's not. It just feels that way. I don't think she sits down the entire time, right? Because she is always up and about, moving around and making sure everybody else is okay. And do you need more to eat, or do you need this, or are you comfortable? And she just never stops. And I think probably most women that are listening to this can either relate their own behavior, or certainly the behavior of their mothers or others that they've watched. Um, let's share some of the statistics. Because it kind of helps to set the stage. It's also a bit eye-opening. Do you still have your book there in front of you?
I do.
Because I think those were more relevant and probably more up to date than the ones that I had pulled. Read through some of those.
Yeah. So 41% of women over 21 are obese. 45% have high blood pressure. 50% will develop cancer in their lifetimes.
There's 1 and 2.
Whew. 1 out of 5 will develop Alzheimer's. 1 in 9, type 2 diabetes. 1 in 8, a thyroid issue. And 80% of all autoimmune conditions occur in women. So, I mean, I just think, and she says this, as a collective group, we are struggling. And we are, you guys. These are your sisters, your mothers, your grandmothers, your aunts, your friends, your coworkers, your bosses, and your community leaders. And at a time when the world needs us to be our best, we are grappling with poor health, feeling unheard by doctors, and searching for answers to reclaim our power. And I just really honestly feel like, it says a lot when you realize, if you don't make decisions that lead to health, then you are making the decision to not have health. It's still a decision. You either can make positive choices that lead to health, or you make a different decision that leads away from health. And the statistics are not lying that you did make a choice. If you weren't doing something to be proactive, you're going to get it, hopefully, a chance to make a choice to be reactive, because that's a lot. Those stats are very high, the percentages.
Yeah, I mean, the first three that you read, 41%, 45%, 50%. I mean, it's nearly 1 in 2 women are going to struggle with this. The other one that I had found that wasn't indicated there, women are twice as likely as men to experience depression. I don't know what percentage of women deal with depression. This just simply says twice as likely as men, but so it's right. It's the physical, it's the mental health, emotional, could make the argument of spiritual health. It's a holistic issue, quite frankly. So your observation, right? So you're a healthcare provider and you've got women that you see on a regular basis. I hate to say it this way, but like, why are we failing? Like what's going on, and what are the roadblocks, and what's preventing women from being able to put a priority on their health and take care of themselves?
And I think that kind of comes from multiple angles. I definitely think it's, part of a mindset, which is sort of you're repeating what you've seen before. So you're watching other women around you or generations before, like what did they do? And you're semi-repeating some of those things. So there's that. I also feel like our world, again, is more toxic and more rushing now than it used to be, which is very hard on a women's system. And then I think it's also and time. Women will say they don't have time, or when how do you do it? I will have people ask that too, and I think it's it's not that it's not possible, it's just not that important to them yet. And when it's not a priority, you'll find every excuse to not do it. And so it's no different than every aspect of your life. You've got to really be committed, what you actually want, and then making that a priority. And I think women really struggle with that, because that mindset block is there, that it's, that it's somewhat selfish, and that they don't have time to take care of themselves because they've got XYZ on their list, but I really do feel like our world is just a lot. It's toxic, it's cheap, it's fast, and it's easy, right? Think of fast food, right? You don't have time to cook, so you're going to eat garbage, or you're on your way to this, and so you're going to do this. Is it possible to have good food and do all the things? Yes, but if it's not a priority to you, you're not going to do it. Same thing with your spiritual life, or your mindset, or your exercise, or whatever the case is. You're going to need your tool sets, and you're going to have to make it a priority. And I think women struggle with just taking the time to figure out what is important to them, like really asking themselves the questions of, and how could I do this? So not just like, strategy a little bit, they get overwhelmed with all of the things on the plate and that need to give, that they're not that great at receiving. They lack that ability to schedule and time block and themselves into the schedule. They can put in like when they're going to go to work and where their kids' schedules are and all the other things, but then there's just that strategy of, okay, so like, is this even possible, and will it make a difference? And so I think that those are kind of the main blocks I see with women, is that they'll give me time. And it's not easy and it's not important to them. Honestly, it's just not that important, because if it were, they would make it a priority.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? The importance piece.
Well, I think a lot of times people don't realize how much their decisions impact everything. I mean, your decisions today have gotten you to where you are right now, and they'll never get you farther than where you are right now. And so I think we need to feel empowered that the decisions we make, that if we make different decisions now, we're going to get a different tomorrow. But I think a lot of times we don't really assess the fact that those decisions actually gave us this, you know. And so I mean, I think it's partly overwhelm, you know. I think it's partly overwhelm, and really just, you know, when you're a kid, you're constantly asked like, what do you want to do, and what are you going to be, and what sounds fun, and what do you want, you know, like all these things, and you're dreaming and you're thinking about like all the possibilities. And then as an adult, you get so ingrained in this like routine of things that you stop asking yourself like, what is my purpose, and what really lights me up, like what really makes me feel happy and amazing, and how can I get and do more of that, instead of just serving but not in a way that is fulfilling, you know, just giving till the cup is empty and then giving from that empty cup. And, you know, I've had people say to me, well, you can't give from an empty cup. And I'm like, oh, I know a lot of women who do. It just comes with a lot of resentment and bitterness and frustration and overwhelm. I mean, it's, you know, it leads to conditions. It leads to so many bad things. But yeah, I mean, I just think you kind of have to have an awareness, and you also have to see someone doing it and think, how, like, it is possible. You know, it is
Yeah.
possible to do that,
Yeah.
but it's got to be a priority.
Yeah, that example is so important. I'm curious, and you kind of alluded to it already. My wife is, and I think you know this, my wife's a nutritionist and a health coach, and so she meets with at any given time she's got 40 plus different clients that she's working with, and then they it's kind of an accountability consultant thing, so she meets with them weekly. And she doesn't ever go into real detail with the individuals with me, but there is certainly a repeating pattern of commonalities across the different individuals that is preventing them from really making progress or taking control of their health. And I'm curious, like in your practice, and I realize you just see both men and women, but at least within the women, are there a few things that just kind of that are on replay, right? That just stand out, that commonalities that are preventing women from really taking control and owning their health. And maybe not, maybe it's really broad, but have you noticed that? I mean, you alluded to some things already, but
Yeah, I mean, I think it takes a while for women to actually realize that they are on the struggle bus. And then when they get on the struggle bus, they are just like full steam ahead, right? And not sure how to get out of that. You know, so I think it just comes with that point where they're ready to take ownership, where they're sick of being where they are. And then looking, you know, open to seeing. As soon as you're open and you're looking for other options, there's always things that, you know, that were right there in front of you that are possible for you to do too. So, I mean, I do think, you know, sometimes it comes with an awareness being the first thing, and an awareness that things are not good, or that there is a problem, or that it could be better than where they currently are, you know. And sometimes that comes with a scare or a diagnosis or something that's off, you know. Sometimes it comes with that, you know, and or sometimes it comes with just seeing another woman that is shining, that is, you know, that is living on purpose and from a place of gratitude and service and fun, and you see it and you want it. You know, so I do think that there's there's some, I think it takes a while before before women choose to have that awareness, because they do get so caught up in that caretaker mode. But that's also what I think is so fun about working with women, is they're already applying all those same things to everybody else. They
Yeah.
just have to apply what they're doing for everybody else to themselves.
So,
And then when they get that like aha moment, like, oh, like that makes a lot of sense,
um, I think, my opinion, there is certainly not a lack of information today, right? Today's society, it's all around us. And I think, media and social media, I think, are culprits of both good and bad information. I look at like, it feels like a lot of what we claim as health related is quite often associated with diet and weight loss. And then there are these just really poor advice about how to lose weight that has nothing to do with overall health, right? You might lose some pounds, but it could be at the detriment of your health. How do we filter that out? How do we identify what is good, solid information and what is just really kind of poor information as applies to health? On the TikTok challenges and all of that, like how do you apply a filter to it?
Oh, and that's another aspect of our world, the fast speed of like instant, like we want to just see it and then it's there, and then it's, we want everything to be, you know, Amazon, Amazon component, right? We just order it up, it comes to the door and boom, we're there. And so, I mean, I do think that sometimes it is overwhelming, especially if that's your source is, the social media world. And because there's some really good information out there and there's some really bad information out there. So, I mean, I do think it is tricky for people to find a filter. And I do think that's where health coaches have made an advantage for the people that they have with them. But I mean, I think you can also keep things really, really simple, because we really are, we are really emotional plants, right? We have basic needs like real food. Just even if you get back to the fact that you need to move your body, you need real food. Just you have to have a routine that is sustainable, a morning routine that addresses different areas of your health. And then you've got to time block things in and prioritize how you're doing it. And then, a night routine. If you don't have one, you have one. It's just not very good, right? I've had a lot of women like, what's your morning routine? When I ask, what's your morning routine? They're like, well, I get out of bed and I run around the house like a crazy person, getting ready for work, getting kids out the door, and then I go to work. And I'm like, wow, and how does that feel? Not very good, but it's their routine, right? And if you can change just something about what you're currently doing, it just can totally change your day. But I think as far as the filter for where you're getting information and what you're doing with it is like, there's always going to be the next like, thing on the market, the next like, wow, look at this and look at that, and new shiny object syndrome, right? And you want to avoid shiny object syndromes because they don't often deliver the outcome that you're looking for. I mean, health has basic things. We have needs, we need air, we need water, clean water, clean air. We need real foods, fruits, vegetables, healthy proteins, good fats. We don't need processed garbage, and honestly, like the way that our world has become, we need like the next level with that is like really optimize. We need to, we need to have certain self-care things we receive from other people, and we need to have certain self-care things we can do on our own. And so I think having that regimen, and the more you're surrounding yourself with people that are on a mission too, you're going to be able to like eliminate things that like, oh, that's not good. That's a shiny object, and just kick some things out of the bucket and get back to those basics again.
Yeah. You mentioned in there the need to get up and move. I heard it's the worst analogy. It's a great analogy, but it really paints a picture, right? And so often we associate exercise again with weight loss or maybe strength training quite often. And I don't know, I don't want to, anyways, I think quite often, at least for women, movement and exercise is associated with weight loss or an approach to lose weight. The example that they were giving the other day about the need for movement, he was talking specifically about the lymphatic system as getting rid of toxins and the toxins of the body. And he said the lymphatic system, and he's like, the easiest way to think about it, sewage treatment, right? It's sewage treatment to clear all of that nastiness and toxins out of the body. But the lymphatic system needs the body to move in order for it to work. And he's like, and he went on to say, I'm not talking about exercise. Get up and walk. Go for a walk every day. Just that movement will actually move those things through the lymphatic system. And he's like, because if you're not, it's the result of it's the same as a sewage treatment plant that is just stuck and not doing anything. When you think of it in those terms, it was pretty horrible. But there's so many benefits from just getting up and moving, and whether that's gardening or yard work or traditional exercise or going for a walk, whatever it is, whatever works for you. Let's get into some. Well, let me ask another question, right? How you've got kind of two aspects in your life, and maybe those things have blurred together, where you are helping people with their health and their wellness and their health span. One, your profession as a chiropractor. Two, your role as a consultant with LifeVantage and your role at LifeVantage. Where do you see, how does LifeVantage, and obviously we're a wellness company, we have wellness supplements, but how does that really help individuals, especially women? How do your personal opinion, how do you see LifeVantage fitting into the lives of women and helping them make health a priority?
So I kind of want to piggyback your walking thing too, because a 20-minute walk, I read this study that a 20-minute walk for the purpose of walking is as effective as taking 2 antidepressants simultaneously. And I tell people about that study often because we underestimate the power of just simple things. I mean, it doesn't take an elite athlete to go for a walk for the purpose of walking. Because I've had people say, well, I walk a lot during the day. I'm like, yeah, so do I. I'm sure I outstep you, but I didn't go for the purpose of the walk. And it's different, right? But how LifeVantage, so I wanted to add that, but how LifeVantage fits in for women is, I think, women, no different than men, need cutting edge tools that are really getting back to the health of our cells. And that power of activation is unlike any other tool that they can do. And then aligning that with the basics, that doesn't mean take your LifeVantage products and go eat at McDonald's and sit on the couch and think bad thoughts about yourself, because you're not going to be healthy doing that either. But one healthy decision often leads to other healthy decisions. And activation, I think, along with supplementation, is really getting back to what can we do to clean up the health of our cells. And that is not condition or symptom or disease related. It is really healthy. Humans come from healthy cells. And when we can get rid of, lower that oxidative stress and turn on the most potent detoxification pathway in the body, you want to talk about getting rid of the sewage. When we can activate NRF2 and then not only that, but turn on the cell's engine and the computer software and wow, the collagen, right? I mean, I think if we can really get back to those cells and let those healthy cells lead to healthy tissues and organ systems in humans, we really just have a different outcome. It's almost like an unfair advantage, the people that are activated versus the people that are not. Because when you're taking supplements, you're trying to just pour something onto something that we don't have enough of, but your cells, the pathways are not open. You're not detoxing like you should. Your cells are being bombarded with free radicals and inflammation, and you're just not able to get the same outcomes. So from a health standpoint, to me, activation is that advantage that women are looking for. And it really piques that next stage of the next thing that they can do that's good for themselves, from a product standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
From a business standpoint, well, then we have a whole nother conversation, because I think LifeVantage is filled with a lot of like-minded people that are on a mission to really improve the lives of others. And I'm sure there are other companies that could say that they are wanting to do something similar. But really, I think LifeVantage, you just have the opportunity to connect with your kind of people, and that connection and community that's at LifeVantage is here no matter where you are in the company. And I may not be on your team if you're watching this, but I would support you and I would validate you and I would celebrate with you when you are, making an achievement or helping people to get better. Because, when we pass, the next generation is here and the next generation is here. And I have 5 kids, and I don't want, the way the world is going right now, I would like if there were a few more like-minded people like us that were leaving another generation of people that were a little more like us and a little less like this world, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I do feel like LifeVantage gives you that community and connection. And for me, it's really where I got to be with my people. And it was a part of that in practice. In practice, it can be a lonely place too. You're busy treating and caring, a little bit of mom syndrome, right? You give, and you have to receive too. And it has to come back in that other side. But, in a single doctor practice, you're not associating with people that are, doing that same thing that you are. And with LifeVantage, you are, and you get to collaborate with other colleagues, and, and it's fun. That's another thing that's fun. I mean, I live for service and I live for adventure and fun. And, I love to travel, and it's really fun to travel with people you actually want to be with. So I just think there's some things, some of those things, but even time. LifeVantage is super easy to fit around everything else in my schedule. So no different than making your health a priority, which I do. I don't see patients today, and I still got up at 4:20 to do my self-care routine and to be here and present with people in a different capacity. But I can block that in. I can block LifeVantage in around everybody else's schedules, and it still works. And I'm still able to, again, live that mission of service and adventure. And that was, it's really allowed me to have this, I don't want to say freedom, because it sounds so cliche when people say time and financial freedom and like, what do you want? Like, what do you actually want? Have you ever taken the time to ask yourself that question and keep asking it until you get an answer, But I really think LifeVantage has a lot to offer that people don't realize it has until they're here. And, Yeah. So I think it's products and it's business. We just got our new Evolve checks, and I had consultants coming out of the weeds, right? With their they were sleeping. They were still loving the products and using them, but really not they really weren't in that business space of seeing it as a business. And when their checks double or triple or quadruple, they start to think, maybe this is something I could do more with. And so it's a feeling too of not just helping people with their health, but when you can really help someone with their finances, and someone that's struggling. I mean, as a physician, I wasn't in a financial struggle of a place, but do I have consultants on my team that are in a financially not good place? Yes, a lot of them. And so to be able to help them afford, whether it's their groceries for the week or their car payment or, whatever that thing is that it means to them, that is really rewarding. And another thing about being a physician, if anybody's watching this that is a physician, you can maybe relate to, when I work, I get paid. And when I'm not at work, I don't get paid. Okay, wait, that applies to all of you, not just the physicians. But for all of you physicians, when you leave, you book a bunch of people in before you leave, and then you leave and you don't get paid. You still have your overhead, and then you come back and you are just slammed with patients again because you weren't there and everybody still needs you, right? So you take a vacation, but it doesn't really feel like a vacation because you just tortured yourself a little bit before and after. And so I really feel like if you can just get to that point where when I leave on a vacation now, LifeVantage still pays me. And I can still, even on a vacation from my cell phone, do more with my LifeVantage business. I can still be a third-party validator. I can still share these products with people. And you know what? I can't help it. I go to breakfast and I'm drinking my collagen and taking my stack, and someone is going to ask me about it, right? So I just think it becomes a part of who you are. No different than chiropractic for me. I can't look at somebody with poor posture and not think, wow, their C1 is really lateral and their left shoulder is down and that guy's foot turns in. I wonder if he broke his ankle at some time, right? It's who I am. So I just think LifeVantage, same thing. I listen for people talking and I hear them. And when you really start to listen to women, they need to be heard. They need to know they have value and that there is a better and a different way. And I just think LifeVantage has that. It has the whole shebang. It's home, and I really hope that that's something that other women can feel and get to experience too.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things that you just said right there. So many just great nuggets of why LifeVantage is important and why LifeVantage or how LifeVantage can have an impact. A couple of things that I jotted down, right? You're talking about, obviously there's the financial piece of it if you're involved with finance or with LifeVantage as a consultant. When we're talking about healthcare, it is really hard to make health a priority if finances are a challenge, right? Because if that need is not being met, the likelihood that you're going to put a focus on anything other than just making ends meet is really low. So I love that. You mentioned multiple times, and not just now, but throughout just community and connection. There is something about having a tribe, right? Having your people like-minded with the same focus, moving in the same direction, the same objective, the same desires. That is absolutely, there is a health element and a health component associated with that. You mentioned, well, you talked about, right, cells are the priority from a health standpoint. I had written down, right, healthy women equal healthy families. But you said healthy humans come from healthy cells, and you had mentioned that on a previous call. In fact, I quoted you at Evolve, right? Cells lead to tissue, influence the cells. You can influence the tissue. You can influence the tissue. You can influence the organs. If you can influence the organs, you can influence the systems. If you influence the systems, you can influence the whole human.
Yes.
I still remember your original quote. There's so much truth to that, though. The other thing though that I made note of as you were talking, and this is the one that I think is so important, or maybe it's just for me so meaningful and impactful. At first you said freedom, and then you're like, that's a bit cliche and maybe not. But I think at least what I'm hearing is the ability to live with intention, right? It's your decision, and you're going to live with intention, and LifeVantage allows you to do that, which I think is fantastic and certainly applies to our health and well-being. We probably ought to wrap it up, although I could talk to you all day. Maybe my last question, just advice to those that are watching. Within the LifeVantage, and this one's going to put you on the spot and be hard, and you're not going to want to answer this one. Well, you will, but you will want to answer it, but you're going to want to do more than 3. My question is, if you're to recommend just 3 products from the LifeVantage portfolio, not knowing anything about the person that you're talking to, but what are those 3 products? That's the first part of the question. The second part is just 3 things that women can do today to make their own health a priority, right? There are so many things out there, so many things that just feel overwhelming to do, but what are 3 things, 3 practices that they can put in place today? Start with the products and then move to the practices.
Oh boy. So, I have a lot of favorite products, and it does depend on the person and what's going on. But my 3 favorite activators are NRF2, collagen, and Axio. So, and I just think for a woman in general, if I know nothing about you, I just know you're alive. Those 3 things would be the things I would recommend, and you can't go wrong with them. Even if I don't know what's going on with you, I know that the cellular influence of activating NRF2 and the collagen pathways are going to be monumental for you. And, there's been times where I haven't talked to somebody about Axio before their first order, and they order, and then I think, I wouldn't go a day without drinking Axio. So why did I not tell them about it before? And so Axio is the cure for a mom brain. And it really is something that everyone needs to have on board, and consecutive days. It's not just like an energy drink. And I remember when I first joined and I learned about Axio, I was like, oh, they have an energy drink? Ugh, garbage. Like, why is a health company having an energy drink? It was marketed as an energy drink. I'm like, this is terrible marketing. I don't want an energy drink. I don't want to promote an energy drink. But do I want energy? Well, most people would say they don't want me to have more energy, but but more energy is something everyone is looking for. Every mom comes in tired and didn't sleep well, and struggling with this and that. And I really just feel like Axio allows that connectivity in your brain. And when you have that kind of clarity and focus, you can get a lot more done in your day. And I don't mean it like, so take on more things. I don't mean it like that. I mean it like, so you can have more capacity to make faster decisions, to do the things that you need to do, and then so I really feel like those 3, we're hitting every cell in the body with NRF2 and collagen. Collagen is every single lining in your body. NRF2 is in every single cell in your body. And again, those healthy cells that lead to healthy humans. And then I think Axio, because I think our brains are overwhelmed and they need that capacity. So those would be my 3 there. And then the 3 things.
I love it. And I love that Axio was one of them, right? I agree 100% with everything you've said. And I love the fact, like, Axio, it's not about an energy drink, although it does provide energy. In my opinion, it allows you to show up and just be a better individual, right? It gives you that clarity of mind and that energy to be more service oriented right? And to be more about improving the community around you. That's how I vision Axio and at least what it does for me. I think it's fantastic. Okay, 3 tips.
Yeah, same. So 3 tips to make health a priority. That was how we're supposed to do this.
Today.
3 things you can do today. Well, order your activators. No, that can't be one, right? But you could do that. If you're on this call, maybe you already have ordered your activators. So maybe not, that's not the best thing. But I think the 3 things you could do today, I think you could decide that your health is going to be a priority. I think that would be the first one. You need to decide. It needs to be a decision, and you need to know that you're important and you're valued, and that someone is watching you and they need you to step up and make your health a priority. So I think the decision, I think you need to decide. And I think that's something everyone could do today, decide. And then the second is decide. I mean, not decide's not the word again. I think you have to have it has to be preset. So for me, that's a morning routine. It can be a night routine or a lunch routine or an afternoon routine. So you can kind of shift that up. But for me, it's a morning routine. I won't get interrupted in the morning. Everybody else is asleep. No one needs me then, right? So for me, it's a morning routine. So wherever your routine is, if morning is not the thing that you where you want to put it, but you need a routine that is for you. And it needs to involve, at least 2 aspects of health. So one of them has to be movement of some kind, take a walk, do a workout, don't buy a gym membership and don't go, right? Same thing with like Beachbody on demand, commit to something, commit to a program, commit to going for a daily walk, like some kind of movement. And then the other part of it, I think you have to have movement in your self-care, and you have to have some kind of mindset. So whether that is gratitude or meditation or prayer, vision, purpose, some kind of mindset. So that it could be 10 minutes of personal growth reading, like some kind of something or other there. So decide a self-care routine, commit to a self-care routine. And then the third one is to time block. And I think everyone can do this. It's not that tricky. You put in your schedule, you already do it. You already put in when you're going to go to work, and you already know when you're going to do after evening things. You have a meeting you have to go to, or your kids have sports or something like that. So you've got things blocked in your schedule already. You go to church at this time, whatever. You already time block for the things that you've put in there. Now you need to go back and time block in there some time that is for yourself. Block in there when you're gonna, wash and cut up all your vegetables for the week. Block in there when you're gonna have 10 minutes to yourself, when you're gonna get your morning routine done. If it's not the morning, if it's the morning, put it in there, put it on your schedule. If it, for me, it's from 4:30 to 7:30, but from, it's in my schedule. I live it every day. Block it in. So if you really take the time to just look at your schedule, we all have the same amount of hours in a day, but we're not all using our time to the best of our abilities. What are the things you could cut out? If every evening from 7 to 10, you're watching garbage on the TV, well, stop doing that. Block something else in there, pick up a good book on something you want to be better at, or do something fun with your kids. Adventure and fun can come from the smallest things. They don't have to cost you anything. But if you don't block in time to do the things that are actually enjoyable, all you have are commitments and requirements and things you have to do and nothing you get to do. And I think if we can just do those little shifts, deciding, making a commitment to something and then really just putting it in like that just leverages our ability to make it happen, because our brain is like, oh, that's when I do that and I can do that. Those would be my 3.
I know, I love it. Decide that health is a priority, right? That was number 1. I wrote, as you were talking, number 2, I wrote it a little bit differently. I wrote what you were saying, set aside time for a routine. And that routine needs to include movement and mindset. And then the 3rd one, time block it out. Make a commitment with yourself, just like you would make an appointment with anybody else. You're not going to make an appointment with somebody and then not show up. Do the same thing for yourself. Make an appointment with yourself, put it on the calendar, and then show up and do it. I love it. Great advice. I also found out one other thing about you. We're both morning people. I didn't realize this. I didn't know that about you. I get up at 4 as well every morning, and I've got that 4 till about 7:30 that is like my time. Nobody's going to interrupt that. It's my time. Maybe a 4th one. I only asked for 3. Maybe a 4th one, as I'm listening to you, is find a guide, find a coach, find somebody that can mentor you through this. That can help with accountability, but also can give you some good guidance, so that it doesn't feel so overwhelming and feel like you're trying to do it all on your own. Anyways, Dr. Jess, great advice, great conversation. I always love talking to you.
This is the feeling the same. This was great.
Yeah. Well, thanks for taking the time for doing this. Any last minute or parting words of wisdom?
I think kind of coming back to where we started, and that is to realize that women as a whole are struggling, and they are looking for something. They're looking for a purpose. They're looking for passion and for better health and community and connection. And it's our job. It is our responsibility as LifeVantage consultants to reach out to women, and men too, but to reach out to women and offer some hope and some guidance, and to just, take someone's hand and say like, hey, I don't know what you're going through, but I want to help. I want to offer some help. And I think that responsibility, you want to feel that in the depths of your soul, because if you have that responsibility, you will get uncomfortable. You will overcome rejection. You will hear no. You will have people that are not receptive to you, but in the time frame that you get some of those, you will get yeses, and you'll get testimonies, and you will get your people on your team doing life with you, traveling with you, looking forward to seeing you and having a conversation with you. And so, you know what, you'll trade in comfort. You'll trade in comfort for courage, and you'll be living that life where you really do feel service and you feel adventure. And I just want you to know it's your responsibility to find the women who are looking and offer hope.
Yeah. Well, and they're definitely out there, aren't they? They're definitely looking. Yeah. Dr. Jess, you are just a joy and a blessing, and I love talking to you, and I'm sure the audience loved all of this. Thanks for joining us this evening, everyone. If you had comments or anything, I'll jump in later this evening and answer all of those and respond to them. But thanks for joining us, Dr. Jess. Thanks for being here, and just thanks for sharing your enthusiasm for life and some just great counsel on wellness and health, especially directed towards women. It's been a pleasure. Thanks.
Yes, thank you for having me.
All right, everybody have a great night. We'll see you here in 2 weeks. We're gonna do this again. And we've got another member. We've got a member from our SAB and another consultant from LifeVantage, Dr. Melody Redarty, and we're going to be talking about the same topic actually 2 weeks from now. So be sure and tune in here on Facebook. Thanks, and have a great night.